Hi there, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy Golf Picks. My name is Sophie Walker. This is Kit Alexander, and today we are going to look back at the Gran Canarian Open and look forward to the Tenerife Open. European Tour is in the Canary Islands, basking in the Spanish sun. Very lucky boys. How you doing, Kit?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, it looked lovely out there last week. A bit of a resort course as we expected, and the scoring was low as we expected. Garrick Higgo with the 25 under. But it looked a fun course. I think there's more of the same this week as well. And you had Garrick Higgo in your team. Didn't you?
I did. I've got to say, it was more from research from other people. So Matt Cooper picked Stuart Sink a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, that is an incredible shout. And I know Matt well, so I was looking through his research, and just a lot of things stuck out for me on how, I mean, we go on about trending and stuff like that, and his ability to go low, being the South African player, and it was coming, but to actually do it is really impressive. I mean, the stat was from the week before, so it would have been Austria. He shot around a 72, 71, 69, 68. He went into Gran Canaria, shot 65, 64, 63, and wait for it, 63 on Sunday. So he ruined that run. But like we said before, it's okay saying, oh, you can go low here. You can go low. But the mentality to shoot 263s at the weekend, you know, it's really impressive golf. And, you know, they are resort courses. They're built for holiday makers. But somebody's got to go out there and shoot the score. And he did, didn't he?
Yeah, you've got to hit the shots. And ultimately, you've got to take fewer shots than the other 130, 140 odd brilliants that are there that week as well. And that's exactly what he did. An aggregate scoring record on the European Tour as well, beating Andy Sullivan's record set at Hanbury Manor last year by a couple of shots. I've actually just been speaking to Garrick Higgo just before jumping on here with you. Myself and co-host John Morgan recorded our Filthy Lip Out Golf podcast with him. He didn't know he'd broken that record, so he was absolutely buzzing about that. And you mentioned about the low scoring. It was the first time he'd gone into a tournament with a lead. He's won 3 times as a pro before on the Big Easy Tour, the Sunshine Tour, and that dual Challenge Tour European Tour event at Royal Obidos last year. And he'd come from behind each time. So it's the first time he had a lead. And he got a nice WhatsApp from Gary Player on Saturday night, offering some advice. They're quite close. And Gary Player told him, go out there and play as if you're 2 shots behind. And that's exactly what he did. He went out there, bogey-free, 63, and cruised to a very, very impressive victory. Looking ahead to this week as well, the way Garrick was speaking and the sort of attitude that he's taking, he wants to just carry on that role and go out there and do exactly the same again this week. He said that first win at Royal Obidos that got him the European Tour card, that was a life changer for him, and it perhaps took a little bit of adjusting, and his form wasn't quite there immediately afterwards. He said now he's better able to deal with it. It feels more normal. And, you know, it's a similar course this week, resort style. He's going to keep on rolling, and we'll get onto our tips in just a little while. But that's one reason why he's actually going in my team this week. It's always a bit of a coin flip, whether you go with someone who's just won. Obviously, they're in great form. But on the flip side, is there some sort of come down after a victory and the mental and physical effort that goes into that? I'm expecting Garrick Higgo to kick on and do really well again this week. Yeah. So looking at the Tenerife Open, you've been and played at that course.
I was just thinking actually from a player's perspective about winning. So it doesn't really set in until you go home or till you remove yourself from the tour bubble. Now, the bubble is bigger than ever right now. So I can totally see what he's talking about, how he's just going to move on. You can't go out, you can't celebrate. There's nowhere open in Spain for a start. You are staying in the bubble. You're moving just across to another island. Everything looks the same. You know, you'll still get the well done, mate, on the driving range, which is always good. You're not seeing your family and friends. It doesn't have time to settle in. It could be a good point there, Kit, how he could easily ride the wave because he never leaves the bubble. in that sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point. It was good to see Tom Bjorn Olesen back. Did like to see them up there, and obviously my captain's curse has now gone, thanks to Sam Horsfield that got me.
I'm delighted because I had the same captain. So if your captain's curse had continued, I'd have been dragged down with you. So yeah.
Yeah, so that was good. I had 784 points. I'm pretty happy with that return. Bradley Swift had 1,430. He captained Higo and had Max Kiefer in his team. So yeah, it was all in all, I think we did decent last week. I was nearly going to captain Garrick, but I went safe because I've been so poor with my captain selections.
Don't punish yourself on what might have been. You had the winner, and Sam Horsfield as captain had a very, very good week anyway. So take the positives, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, let's move on. We're going to Tenerife now, Costa Adeje. What did you call it, Kit?
Well, I've been pronouncing it Costa Adeje. I've just found out that's completely wrong. So good. I haven't been talking to too many people about it, but that's good to know. As you've been there and played it, I'll bow to your pronunciation. Costa Adeje.
Yeah, I mean, that's only Brit abroad as well. When I used to go on my, is it Thompson holidays as a kid to Costa Adeje and play Las Americas. So maybe as a Brit, I've been saying it wrong and the Spanish say it differently. Who knows? But I've always called it Costa Adeje. And yeah, you're right. I've played a couple of, so I've played a Spanish Open and a few Tenerife Opens around it. Got to say, I remember the nights out more than the golf course and the performance. Yeah, it's another great picturesque golf course. It's on the south of Tenerife. The views are incredible. Interestingly, when we played it, it was 6 par 3s, 6 par 4s, and 6 par 5s, and that's probably how. Is it the same this week, or has it changed?
Well, on the European Tour website, actually, when I checked a couple of days ago, it was only 5 par 5s, but I checked today and it's gone up to 6 par 5s. So it looks like what I've seen most recently on the European Tour website is that it's playing as a par 72 with 6 par 3s, 6 par 4s, and 6 par 5s. A quite unusual layout, but one that's going to be interesting, I think.
Yeah, and what was the yardage? Because I saw it under 7,000. Is that still the case?
Yeah, 6,857 yards.
I could see it on this week, Kit.
Exactly. That's only about 150 yards further than last week, Melaneros. And of course, it's 2 higher in par. We go from a 70 to a 72. So if you thought last week was low scoring and plenty of birdie and eagle opportunities, prepare yourself for even more. I mean, Garrick Higgo's record might not last that long. Who knows? It could go this week, but...
funny story about Costa Adeje. I think it's the 4th hole. It's a par 4, and it goes down to the water. Now, you never get beachside. You still sit up high on the cliffs, but it's beautiful. You can look down at all the booze cruises, which is going on, but not anymore because we're not allowed to do that. Anyway, it's stepped down the fairway, and it's kind of like one step's maybe 30 yards, and then there's some rocks, and then you go down another step. And I was chatting to my caddies, and my caddies there, bag on back, just chatting away. I looked to the side, she just disappeared. It's like, just stacked it straight down one of the steps. And I've just gone. Because normally, like, you ride your golf cart down the side, and then you just walk across. Obviously, they won't be doing that this week. So keep an eye out for a caddy just man down. She's like, are you laughing at me? It was so funny. But yeah, it is a good course. It's very pretty. It will be affected by the wind, a little bit like Gran Canaria because it is right on the water. But the fact that there's so many par 3s and par 5s, that's where I've gone into looking at who scores well in that department. Is that what you've looked at too?
Absolutely, yeah. I've had a little look at par 3 scoring and par 5 scoring to add a bit more emphasis to there. For me, probably more on the par 3 scoring side of things, because the par 5s, I think they're short, basically, is the long and short of it. So someone like Yoast Loudoun, who I'm going to be heavily backing this week, he's going to be able to reach more of those 6 par 5s this week than he probably would ordinarily at most courses. So perhaps whereas those shorter hitters don't always thrive on the par 5 scoring average through a season, this might be an opportunity for them to get more eagle putts. And if they happen to be very good iron players and good on the par 3 scoring average as well, for me, that's a really big tick. So par 3 scoring average, definitely, and par 5 scoring average, but also with a nod to the fact that more of them are in reach for the shorter hitters this week.
Absolutely. So you have gone, you got 3? What are you looking at? Have you got your 6 there?
Unusually for me, this early in the week and when we record this, I've actually nailed down my 6 already. Normally at this stage, there's 3 or 4, and then I'm looking at another 2 or 3 for the final, two or 3 spots, maybe another 4 or 5 players. But do you know what? I've nailed it down to my 6. So here they are. Yoast Loudoun, as mentioned, ranks 20th in par 3 scoring, on a really nice little run of form. 6-time European Tour winner. Really like him. Antoine Rosner kind of was not quite on his A game last week, but still managed to finish 15th and still looks like class in this field the way he's been playing of late. Matthias Schwab, tied 7th, tied 8th his last 3 starts. Brilliant to the greens last week. I think he was 2nd strokes gained on approach, 4th strokes gained tee to green last week of the players that played all 4 rounds.
He hit, I think, daft like 86% of greens last week, which I don't care how easy a golf course is. That is really impressive.
And he was losing strokes to the field on the greens as well, and still finished 8th. Mm-hmm. Like, if he has a lukewarm putter this week, he's going to take some beating. So hopefully he can find a little bit of heat in that flat stick and the ball striking continues. Max Kiefer, I've missed out on him the last 2 weeks. There's that, similar to Higgo, is he going to run out of steam? He'd only had 2 runners-up finishes in his first 250 Star European Tour, and then he rattles off back-to-back ones. I've been buoyed slightly by the fact he did finish runner-up this week, even after the heartbreaking playoff loss in Austria, so that didn't affect him quite as much. So I think, you know what, he's playing the best golf of his career, 2 runners-up finishes. Let's ride on him.
Also, he works golf coach Liam James, who is doing wonderful things with Matt Wallace. He's been out in America and works alongside Robert Rock. And whenever I see a player that works with Liam, Jason Tribner does as well, and obviously had a good start to the year. He's not a coach that will let him rest on his laurels. So I'm with you there. I can see him riding this one out.
Absolutely. The final 2 are Garrick Higgo, who I mentioned. I missed out on him last week, despite us sort of mentioning him and putting him forward as a potential outsider. You picked him. He would have been my 7th or 8th pick if we'd have had that many. So, but I've got to put him in this week. I think he's going to ride the crest of a wave. And Callum Hill, who I really liked last week. He had a reasonable week. I don't see any reason to take him out. He's 2nd in par 3 scoring on the European Tour as well, just to add a bit more fuel to that. And he's been making a lot of birdies of late, and that's what you're going to need to do around there. So essentially, I'm riding the hot hands, the form players, because it's a similar test to last week, because there are going to be plenty of birdie and eagle opportunities. I'm looking for guys on form, guys who are confident, and that is my 6.
That's good. I agree with you to a few of them. Callum Hill, you've been championing him all year. I'm looking at the stats. He's nearly 5 birdies around. He's got Wobbly on the bag, who is a famous caddy, very experienced caddy. Has worked with Woozum when he won the Masters. Stood alongside, Matt Wallace, Ross Fisher. When you get a caddy that finds a bag like that, there's a reason. Caddies work for the best player possible. So if you've got Wobbly next year, then you're on the right track. So I like the Callum Hill. I'm gonna go with John Gatlin this week because he's a winner. He won the other week. I was okay last week, but I can see him kind of doing like this and coming back once again. Ranks inside the top 20 of par 3s and par 5s play on tour at the moment. So he's going in mine. And then I'm going to stick with some form players. Rosner, stroke average, is the best on the European Tour who's playing in this event for the last 6 months. And ranked 3rd on that list is Jamie Donaldson. We spoke about him last week. So he's had 10 top 20s in 8 months. Really good par 3 player. In fact, was playing at our local course, Prestbury, where he's a member. And a few of the guys we're playing golf with have played with JD recently. His injury seems to be good. He's in a good place, and he's taking all the members' money at Prestbury, so they're not very happy with him. He's one in there. Kurt Kitayama, I think people need to just maybe put back in again. He lost 2 shots to the field on putting last week. Everything else was absolutely fine. He shot -4 and missed a cut. The cut was that low. So don't think he's not playing well. He's just had a bad putting week, and that happens on tour. A couple of outsiders for me. One of them is Paul Waring. I mentioned him last week, and I said he'll be on my team for Tenerife. And it's more for the fact that this guy loves Tenerife. He holidays there. He goes and practices golf there at Costa Adeje. He's got his best mate on the bag, Alex Evans, who is a golf professional. Those of you who watch YouTube, he's on there. He's a very funny guy. And when Paul's happy, Paul plays well. He has been doing lots of speed work. So I looked a little bit more into this. He's added 30 yards. But he's done like it's a Bryson effect here, although he hasn't got red. He's big. He's a big enough guy anyway, but he's not. You wouldn't look at him and go, "What's happened, Bryson?" Bryson effect there.
He hasn't been on the protein shakes to quite the same extent.
Always, what? Paul's always been quite. I grew up playing golf with him. He's always been into his gym, but I think he just used to think, "Well, I hit it far enough," but there was more in the tank, and he's gone for that now. So in a place that he'll know better than anybody there, he'll be feeling comfortable. He shot 66 on Sunday, so I wouldn't say he's in form at the moment. He's not played much this year. Right. But there's definite signs that he can go out there and do well this week. If not this week, then definitely next week. So yeah, and then I put Victor Dubuisson in there because he's kind of, I don't know if he's back. I don't know if we ever know if Victor's back, to be quite honest with you. He will be a bit of a rank outsider in your team, but his world ranking is very much improving, and his 20 rounds this year has him at a scoring average of 68.65. Okay, they're on these easy resort courses, but guess what? This week is an easy resort course. Yeah. And looking at his stroke average, he's got that 68, but with mistakes, which means he's not played a lot of golf. If he can get a bit more consistent, we look at Callum Hill, he's only averaging 2 bogeys a round. Victor's averaging 3 to 4. So he's got to make more birdies on that. Yeah. So he's one which I might sneak in. I'm definitely going Hill, Waring, Donaldson, Rosner, Gatlin. And then it's kind of Victor, Kerr, or like you say, Garrick Higgo. I just can't see anybody not playing as decent after last week because as soon as that not leaving the bubble is so important to me right now. But he was
so good last week, and it's such a similar test. It's hard to see how it doesn't, at least to some degree, carry over. I think Jamie Donaldson's a great shout. He was in my team last week. It would slightly break my heart if he won this week on the basis that I have taken him out, and he didn't really give me a reason to. I think he was 15th in the end, and he threatened to do better than that. His back nine on Sunday wasn't great. He didn't really move forwards like some other guys did. So it would, in the nicest possible way, sort of break my heart because I've had him in a couple of times this year. He's done okay for me, and he was just on the fringes of my team as well this week. Another guy we haven't mentioned who I know you really like, and we both do, and he's been there or thereabouts, is Guido Miglioxy. He had a couple of really good rounds last week, so I think he should definitely be on people's radar. And probably also Connor Syme. I had that really destructive, obviously, snowman at the quadruple bogey 8 on, I think, was it 14 or 15?
Just can't afford, can you, when it's a bird?
And you can't afford to do that when the scoring's that good. But he was second until that happened. So he was right there. It wasn't his only good result this year. He's been playing well. And just for me, if I was going to chuck one more name in there, even though I've already named the 6 I'm selecting, someone who I think could be a really good little outside bet here is Nikolai Hoygard, twin brother of Rasmus. Nikolai, also a brilliant player, actually finished second to Sergio Garcia at the KLM Open a couple of years ago now, I think. So even before Rasmus burst onto the scene with his couple of wins and taking Rookie of the Year, Nikolai was the first of the Hoygard twins to really make noise on the European Tour. He's been a little bit quieter since, but has certainly been showing some form in recent weeks, and will be inspired by seeing what his twin brother Rasmus has done. So I think Nikolai Hoygard could be a decent outside shout as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this week. I always like it when the guys play a course I've played. I think a lot of people watching this would have been to Tenerife. There's an opportunity to play a course as well. Like, you know, we all watch the Masters and there's no chance of us playing Augusta or some of the other venues. But Costa Adeje, you can go and play, and you can see how well they play compared to you. And I think it'll make us all want to go on holiday again, that's for sure. But for me, this is what it's all about. Watching, I liked it last year in England when they were playing the Belfry and, you know, or Celtic Manor in Wales, because you I've been there. And this is the good opportunity with Tenerife as well. But they've also playing the same course next week as well, because they're trying to keep everybody together. So it's going to be interesting to see how our picks go. And then if we change our minds next week.
It is. We've had that already with Kenya this season, although the European Tour fantasy game was only for the first week in Kenya and then it was the WGC. We saw that actually what you did the first week isn't necessarily a guarantee of what's going to happen the next week. There are a number of guys that missed the cut in the first week and came back and finished top 10 the second week, and vice versa. Kurt Kitayama, who was right in the mix the first week, then missed the cut the second week. So it's a really interesting dynamic. Yes, we're going to learn a lot about the venue and the players playing there, but then how much do you take that into account when changing your team for next week? It's going to be interesting when we get there. But before that, I've got to put you on the spot. Your captain's curse is over.
Right.
So who are you leaning towards for the big double points this week?
I am going to, I don't want to play safe. I really don't want to play. I'm going to go Callum Hill. I'm not playing safe. I'm going to go with him because I think a lot of people will captain Rosner, Kurt Kitayama, and I need to make up some points.
Nice. I like that selection. I think he's one of the front runners to be a captain. Absolutely. I'm going Matthias Schwab, and I will spend the week praying to the putting gods that he has just an okay week on the greens, because frankly, that might be all he needs with how he strikes the ball and how that course sets up for him to be right there in contention.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Kit, for your insight as always. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We've helped you out with your fantasy picks or just picks in general for this week. Please like this channel, comment below. I want to know who you're captaining. I would say it's probably not Callum Hill this week, but the curse is left, so you can. And subscribe to the channel. We want to interact with you as much as possible and give you as much information as we can first things through the week, and then you can pick your team. So it'll have to be picked by, is it Wednesday night or Thursday morning this week?
It'll probably be Wednesday night at midnight. I'll definitely get it in by then to be safe, because it will be a relatively early start. Same time zone. So that actually makes watching it on TV quite good. You can watch sort of in the early afternoon, I think, on Thursday and Friday. And then it's in a nice time. You can go out, play your golf in the morning at the weekend, and watch the Saturday and Sunday rounds unfold after that in the afternoon.
Sounds good to me. I think I'll be doing that, Kit. All right, then. Speak to you soon.
Plan for the weekend, that actually, isn't it? I've just
golf,
that's going to work.
Golf and more golf. Sounds good.
Play golf, watch golf. Play golf, watch golf. Works.
In my life. Speak to you soon.
Brilliant.